Hey everybody, it's Austin Ward for Lettermen Row, back here with another BuckIQ. Zach Boren joining me once again, so you know that we're talking some defense as we've been doing to start this early year. And Zach, just overall, seemed like a pretty big improvement, just like you thought there might be.
It was very big improvement. We saw week one, all the big plays that Oregon State was able to hit the Ohio State defense with, but this week they were much more sound, much more gap, I guess, responsible, and even the big play. We saw it in the back end on how there were so many broken coverages week one and what we saw week two, the difference, especially with Fuller coming back. He just makes a huge difference being back there in the back end and getting the back end on the same page. So defense turned it around. They're going to have to turn it around again with TCU coming in this week.
A big test again, and some of that, you know, when you've got a mobile quarterback, those rushmen are going to be under fire. Today we're looking at Chase Young, but, you know, through 2 weeks, Zach, it seems like any pressure that you could possibly want, Ohio State can provide. Yeah,
they really can. What we've seen with this front four and even the blitzing game that we've seen from the backers, they are constantly having the quarterbacks under distress. We've seen now a couple weeks in a row that they've been able to create the turnover with the rush, with strip sacks and whatnot, and be able to get the quarterback to throw some early balls and have the back end pick it off.
Yeah, one guy that's been generating a lot of that excitement alongside Nick Bosa is Chase Young, so this will be the first time we'll have Zach Boren break down that film, so let's roll the tape.
2nd and 10, and there's Chase Young. With the sack, the ball pops out. At the 17-yard line, they'll say he was down.
Rolling on the field, the runner is down. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense, number 2, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So here we go, Zach. It's a 2nd and 10 situation. Ohio State is always going to be looking to bring some pressure in that situation. And it's late in the first half. Chase Young just flies around the edge here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 2nd and long situation. So as a defense, you're looking, hey, these guys are trying to put some points on the board before halftime. And this is where you see Chase Young, and Nick Bosa is so good with this too. It's almost like Larry Johnson. This is the biggest rush move that they teach from an outside. But as you can see, when he takes off, he almost threatens him like he's going to almost two-gap him and kind of rush him back into more of a physical power rush in the quarterback.
Yeah.
But you see he's so quick with his right hand and able to play off of it. Watch, he'll hit him with his right hand and left at the same time, and then be able to bring his right hand back underneath and rip it through. And that's when you see the speed rush happen, and that's when the offensive lineman, because he's got to brace. An offensive lineman is always taught, hey, when they go to a physical bull rush, you have to sit down and you have to be able to brace it so you can kind of put your post foot. Their back foot's always called their post foot, so they are able to post and be very strong here. When these guys are so quick with their hands, able to show the bull rush and come back outside for the speed rush, that's what absolutely kills these offensive linemen. You see this guy, he doesn't have a great first step. Chase Young is able to get around, sets him up perfectly, and is able to come in here and put a great hit on this quarterback and actually able to strip him and recover all in the same time.
Rushinho, pressure coming, it's Chase Young, and Young's got him! 2nd sack for Chase Young.
When you look at these other guys that are on the field, these names that we know, you have Tyreek Smith, Draymond, Nick Bosa out there, you get that one-on-one with Chase Young. I think this is why Ohio State can be so successful. You see it here. He's just getting one guy.
He is getting one guy. And the other thing is, what people have to realize, these guys are big guys. Chase Young is not some small speed type guy. I mean, he's a powerful dude. And so when these guys are able to come in and show one thing, you can see him. He's attacking this offensive lineman straight ahead and then is able to use his quickness and get around him. These offensive linemen can't play into that. So many guys you see will show speed rush straight ahead, will show bull rush so quickly, will show their move so quick in the first couple steps that offensive linemen are able to sit on them. What Coach Johnson does and what makes these guys so good, especially on the edge, is they're able to show one thing and then come back to the other. And so you see it again. He puts both of his hands out to show bull rush, and then hits him. Is so good with his hips. You constantly see them working their hips in drills and be able to get around the corner. And here you see the offensive lineman just isn't quick enough to be able to come up to the speed rush. And obviously Chase Young is so strong here. Quarterback tries to get out, but Chase Young holds on with one hand and takes him down.
Tell me if this is stupid. We go back there to the front. The first play we see him coming around a right tackle. He's on that left side. Is this sort of like being ambidextrous? If he can go he can line up on the left, line up on the right, or does that mean anything at all to be able to go from either direction?
It really does. You see these guys getting 4 points a lot in passing situations, and so I think that's where you're able to see it. When you're able to play with both hands and then get around, you know, and kind of show both moves from the same side, that's something Coach Johnson then preached during practice. Once, you know, so many guys, that's a scouting report thing, right? As an offensive player, I was on the offensive side, you'll say, hey, defensive end likes to do this on the left side, this on the right side. Okay. When you're able to match the same moves that you can show from side to side, it makes you that much more dangerous, and that's a Coach Johnson thing. Coach Johnson preaches it in practice. They work it in practice. During practice, sometimes, you know, they'll go one series where Chase is on the right, Nick's on the left, and they'll switch it back and forth.
And he has gotten it.
Pressure coming, Rushenio, the jump pass, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Shaun Wade.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the intercepting team. Number 2 came out onto the field. That's his second unsportsmanlike conduct foul. Is disqualified for the remainder of the contest.
And now Chase Young will be escorted to the locker room after his second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
All right, so if there's a negative out of this for this sophomore, Zach, you know, this first time, second game, he gets a little fired up here. We've got the spike of the football. He wanted the fumble. It was looked at. The referees didn't overturn the call. Looked like a fumble to me. Yes. He gets a little fired up and then draws the flag.
I agree. This was before, you know, before that the rulings kind of come out and he realizes it. But it's one of those things where, yes, he needs to calm down. It's something that coaches always teach. I love it, right? I love it from a young guy getting fired up. But the leaders of the defense, you know, the tough Borlands of the world, you know, the Jordan Fullers need to get over there, calm them down, say, hey, you know, I realize you're fired up. Hand the ball back to the official. It's something Coach Meyer and those coaches preach all the time. If you're on offense, if you're on defense, once you get the ball, hand it back to the official. And trust me, they're harping on it this week. He was excited at this time to get the ball, you know, to make a big play. And, you know, it happens. He's a young player and he'll learn from it.
And normally we wouldn't be focusing on this, but then you go later into the fourth quarter. Shaun Wade makes an interception. Right here, it's a young guy making a big play. Chase Young gets excited. He celebrates. He draws a second unsportsmanlike penalty, which leads to this ejection here and a visit from Ryan Stamper on the way to the locker room. You can't really have that in a tougher game.
So here's the thing. The first one I agree with, right? He deserves it. He, you know, shouldn't have done that. This second one I don't agree with at all. As you are an official, and it's 45-9, there's a lot of young guys who are on the field. There's a lot of guys who aren't normally playing. I know we used to get so excited in the fourth quarter when, hey, you know, you're not playing. You're like, hey, man, we put in a good day's work. We're on the sideline for a reason. You get excited for those guys. You have no idea how much work those young guys and the guys who don't get to play every Saturday, how much work they put in during the week. This is Chase Young getting excited. This is him, you know, being excited for Shaun Wade, making an interception. Probably, I think it is the first of his career. And, you know, they're the same class. So Chase is excited. It's one of his buddies. The officials need to let them play. Hey, coming off the sideline, those guys are excited. They know it's 45-9. At this point, you are, as a referee, you are getting through the game. You're making sure you keep anything under control. You're keeping cheap shots under control. The excitement, let the guys have some fun. I mean, that is completely, thank God it doesn't affect next week against TCU. But for the officials to throw a second flag on him, especially, they know he got one earlier. Yep. So for them to throw a second, in my mind, is just uncalled for.
Yeah, there was a lot of concern initially. Ohio State had to confirm with the Big Ten office that Chase Young will not be suspended at all for that first half on Saturday night against TCU. That's obviously good news because the rushmen are relying on him a lot more. Nick Bosa, Draymond Jones, Jonathan Cooper, those guys up front, they're really dynamic right now. They're going to need that against the Horned Frogs. So Zach Boren knows that full well. Yep. He's going to be watching that again. We'll have a defensive breakdown with Zach again next week after that huge game, top 15 showdown. So he's Zach Boren. I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you next time on Lettermen Row with BuckIQ.